So now we have that. So it affects his how people perceive him. So it's kind of like, so we're still talking about the ascendant, right? So it's like, it's he might go through all that struggles. Luckily, of course, we have here his sextile, so he'll know how to work with this placement naturally in his career or vocation in the 10th house, right here. Okay, this aspect right here, where we have Jupiter Saturn, is basically sextile to his Uranus. So any sort of dreams he comes through, like when he's probably dreaming or he's had to deal with this subconsciously, there's a bit of a limit there. It's funny because we have similar placements. So I have Saturn, I have Jupiter square Saturn, right? It's that light at the end of the tunnel, or it's like you have to work through, you have to grow slowly through trials, through tribulations, through hard work and seeing maybe physical hard work, maybe material hard work, maybe mental hard work, maybe emotional hard work, either one. Either way, it still ties into actually Libra here. So relationship hard work. He'll have to know how to relate with people. But we're not talking about the 10th house here. We're talking about his ascendant. So he'll have to know, he'll basically know through, if he makes his subconscious issues conscious, then he'll be able to figure out, oh, wait a second, I need to go through this. I need to learn through my relationship with the world and how I relate with them in terms of my ego, just 10th house stuff, my reputation, that it's like, it's not all about that. It's all about what can I do so that I can connect with everybody else, right? Especially because it's Libra, we're all about connections. And so, yeah, so that's his ascendant. What else was there? Any other placements here? Nope, that's his ascendant. Now we go into the sun. I don't know if we have time for this one, but if I cut, maybe I'll cut this out. Anyways, so next we go into, first of all, I want to go straight into his 12th house stuff, because I feel that there's a connection to his moon was in Scorpio as well. So moon and Scorpio people often want exciting things. It's in fall or detriment. It's in the fall. It's in fall in Scorpio. It's a rise in Taurus. The moon is Taurus, is that. Which is funny because, like you see here, there's this aspect, this opposition to Chiron as well, right here, right? So, but going with his moon on its own, which is actually funny, conjunct to is what is this one? Lilith. So Lilith is definitely the planet of like release of stereotypes. I would say it's the one that guards us to make sure that we're not just going with the status quo. That's how I see it first, but I'm not going to go straight too much into Lilith. I'm just focusing on the moon right now. So his moon was in Scorpio, so yeah, he enjoys things that are exciting, that are alluring, that are very like deep and secretive and very like risky. Usually though, of course, because it's in the 12th house, it's hidden, so he might have some sort of, what you call like maybe shadows in the closet. If he's learned to really deal with that, especially through the opposition through Chiron, his losses at work, or his losses with being able to be of service, being able to find contribution to society itself, or rather relationship, because the 6th house moves into the 7th house. We're still talking about more like relationships. If he's able to manage that and actually go through it and balance that, also likewise, just with this one because we earlier we had Chiron opposition to Uranus. Now we have Chiron opposition to Moon. So it's the emotional ups and downs and trying to figure out what it means for him. And of course, he goes through it at a subconscious level, meaning like he has to spend a lot of time to regenerate and like go through the process by himself. Maybe not by himself, but definitely like go through some sort of like a journey inwards and say, what does this mean for me, right? So we have emotional struggles with losses that he probably experienced at a younger age, maybe when he was starting to work or something like that. So he probably had these 12 house, 6 house issues. and we don't know exactly what happened. But for sure, there's a lot of power struggles there related to loss and also emotional ups and downs, and what else? Probably like intimacy as well. Intimacy with the workplace, intimacy or dynamics, magnetism, sort of that's moon, right? So, and also this need to come in contact. So probably he had a bit of, he didn't know what the balances were in terms of like how he could connect with people in the workplace or people he was helping or volunteering or just any sort of service he's giving. Or maybe he's unconscious about it. Things that are unconscious, he's unconscious that he's losing things, so he doesn't know how to deal with it emotionally. So he's kind of become distant from some people, right? Or people, maybe people he works with, people in, he doesn't like open himself up, like, so that's what it is. So that's what I see with this moon here. Now we also have the trine here. Luckily he has trine to both his okay, so his, it just shows here there's technically there's 4 planets here, but we're not going to go into Verta. I don't know why there's Verta here. I didn't put that down. But anyways, so Mercury at least and Venus. So Mercury and Venus are trine to his moon. Mercury and Venus though was of course in Cancer in the 8th house. But we also have Mercury in retrograde. We know what Mercury in retrograde is in general, but Mercury in retrograde for a person is someone who has a hard time understanding things, so they over-communicate. There's awkwardness in that whole process. Delayed understanding, it's a delayed sort of communication because it's overthinking. It's an inward process rather than outward expression. It's impression, so to speak. Okay. With Venus there, it's also it's not in retrograde, so yay. But Venus in Cancer is, I read somewhere that it's in Judy Hall's Astrology Bible, Venus in Cancer is the need to basically have children. But Venus in Cancer, first of all, is it's that need or connection. It's that sort of emotional bond that one needs in order to relate with others. But for him, that urge to do that is kind of more transformative. He probably goes through relationships, or has gone through relationship naturally, and processed it subconsciously. So maybe he's had any profound, really real deep relationship he's had with people, he's able to do it naturally. He's able to bring forth his natural ability to understand things at an emotional level, and it's probably also instinctive level, maybe through dreams, maybe through his own processing, meditation, whatever sort of grounding things he needs to do and to escape to. So something more spiritual, something much more idealistic, something more out there, but also outwards and inwards as well, and learning to transform through that and being able to realize that it's like, hey, I don't need to deal with all this crap. I can naturally understand it by constant processing Mercury in retrograde, and having that relationship probably most likely with himself, having a more balanced relationship, not just balancing relationship with others. Now, if he hasn't learned this yet, probably it's easy for him to relate with others because you have Moon trine Mercury and Venus. It's like he's able to communicate with people easily, but through a lot of probably like talkativeness, and a lot of explanation, a lot of sort of out there sort of way of talking. It's just like very, and so, but there might be, because it's a comfortable placement, the trine right here, right? Because it's a comfortable placement, he might come across still sudden things that don't expect, because he's comfortable in that. It's natural for him to be this way, to be emotionally communicated, emotionally able to relate with people, especially at a more deeper level, right? We got the 12th house, 8th house connections here, but when it's not there, when it's not deep, when it's sort of like shallow maybe, when it's sort of like meaningless, then it becomes like, how does he communicate that, right? So that's what trine challenges us to do as well, even though it is a comfortable aspect or placement. What else is there? So we're focusing on the moon here. Now, because the moon is in the 12th house, and rather Scorpio rules his 12th house, Pluto rules his 12th house. That means Pluto ruling his 12th house gives it a much deeper, profound meaning. So there's still power struggles, of course, that he works through within himself. Like maybe he dreams about it, maybe he doesn't know how to deal with emotions. He dreams about, like, I don't know, like he's trying to solve it, but he can't unless Pluto in retrograde is retrograde, it's delayed, right? So that means that Pluto there is not going to show up until, like, he realizes, like, maybe he needs to go through more experiences, like maybe more trauma, maybe more pain in his life here, right? So we don't know that. All I know is this is what I see, this is what I'm reading right now. So what else is there? Okay. So there's also the natural ruler of the 12th house, which is actually, of course, Pisces. When we look at Pisces, where's Pisces here? Right? It's in the 4th house. Right now, 4th house is ruled by Pisces, so therefore, so that means that any sort of issues he has also relates to family and ancestry and DNA and inheritance, all that stuff. So any 12th house issues he has, he still extends to 12th house, 4th house stuff as well. Also because the moon rules the 4th house. So we have to look at the 12th house stuff and what rules that. We have to look at what rules. Actually, I want to make sure I get this right. So you have the ruler of the 12th house. Actually, we'll go with the sun. So we'll go with the moon first. Right? I got a bit confusing. So we go with the moon. And what house does the moon rule? The moon rules the 4th house. So that was right. We go into the 4th house issues. It extends over to the 4th house. But we also know that the moon is in the 12th house. So we have already done that. And then we also have to look at what's ruling the 12th house. So Scorpio. We've already done that. And then we have to look at what's rules Scorpio. Pluto. So Pluto rules his 12th house. The moon rules his 12th. Cold rules his 12th house. But also extends over to the 4th house. But also actually the 8th house. Because Pluto rules his 12th house through Scorpio. Because of the cusp. We also have to look that it extends over to the 8th house issues. Not only because of the aspect here, but yeah. So he has to go through a lot of transformative emotional when he goes through lunar things, like emotional ups and downs, dynamics, dealing with the public as well. That's also normal. That's also part of the moon. Connecting with people, attraction. The emotional ups and downs is the biggest one. So habits as well, probably eating habits as well. Maybe he has to transform through those as well. Like maybe he, if he doesn't know how to deal with that stuff, maybe he might overeat. Maybe diet might be affected because 8th house is also health. So remember, it extends over to the 8th house because of Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio. Scorpio rules the 8th house. And so it extends over to the 8th house and the 4th house. So any sort of, I don't know, maybe he had health issues when he was younger. Maybe he still has them today. We don't know that. But all I can say is that that's what I see right now. So now we're going to jump over to the sun. And it's like, yay, sun was in Gemini. We know it, he's Gemini. Makes him very, very flexible. We already know that. He's very adaptive. He likes games. He likes sort of puzzles. He likes, in this case, because it's in the 7th house, he has a bit of a Libra as well in him. So he's very friendly and very outgoing and very peaceable. He's like peace-loving kind of thing. So there's a mix of that. And because Gemini though rules, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury and solely by Mercury, we have to look back into Mercury as that. So Mercury rules his sun. So he's very Mercurian. He's very expressive. But because Mercury was in retrograde, he's expressive. This is kind of more like maybe he appears a little bit blue. At least when he was younger, probably he was probably like came off like very talkative. Didn't know how to explain things. He just, I don't know, process, or asking a lot of questions, very inquisitive, but not understanding anything. probably. It's like delayed.